2,000 plus
We
questions that help you put the knowledge gained into
It is
practice,
never easy.
build on your understanding.
For instance, nobody will sing your song for you. You have to sing that song yourself and make it as beautiful as you want it to be. Again, you have to have tenacity. It is not about we've created this and it stops there. For the past 9 months, I know how much and how many changes we've made on my robot. Initially, it was being controlled by a student. Now I can happily inform you that it is autonomous. The artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, the coding, the programming are all there for us to use. All you need to do is those things you press, those Google you Google, and there are so many apps there. For the body, we use the things we have in the maker space. We have what we call a maker space, where children go in to build so many things, and we guide them. Children will always be children, and most of the time we don't want them to destroy most of these things. But it is in that destruction that creativity will come. So I charge us today as teachers and educators, guide them to destroy, to create and innovate, to change the world. We have tried the body. We used straw boards before. But when you take straw boards anywhere, it will just, after a while, water incidences can make it to be destroyed. Again, we Nigerialize it. You will see our Ankara on the body of Moira Bot. That is to say, we are proudly Nigerians. Nigerialize whatever you have, be proud of it. Nobody will build this country for us. We will build this country. And don't you forget that other countries have their woes, have their troubles. Nobody does it for them. We must. We must stop complaining like ducks and start flying like the eagles who we are. I'm not here to preach, but the call for action is that we must take our technology, creativity, innovation to the next level. They are not meant for our laboratories and our schools. They must get out there. And it is in collaboration with Dr. Oworu and his team and others that are here. When new lesson comes, some of us will embrace. Flex this up, we embrace. That we embrace. And people think that we are crazy. Yes, we are crazy and thirsty for knowledge. And that's what it should be for all of us in this country. Nothing is going to stop us. And nothing will stop us. We must continually change the narratives of this country by placing this country in the positive light, which we are. I want to say, once again, the organizers for having me give this goodwill message. I wish you all the best. And I'm standing here to say that count on our support from GLSTN when the time comes, from today, before I leave this place. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ma. Maybe during the program, I'll ask a few questions on how the robot was built, the vision behind it, and all that. But for now, I'm going to be very strict with time. I think that brings to a close the opening session for today. Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you so much. All right, so I would bring up stage the other speakers we have for today who are present at the moment. The first person I'd like to bring up stage is my friend and my brother, the CEO of Management Edge, in the person of Rex Abitogun. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up. Yes, thank you very much. Please look at that. Let's be sure what it is. All right, the next person I would also like to bring up is the Executive Director of RFID African Foundation in the person of Mr. Daniel Omoforman. I hope I got that pronunciation right. Please put your hands together for him. Closely followed by the founder, CEO of Educational Advancement Center. I think that's his school on air. Please welcome with me Mr. Muiwa Bamigboshe. I saw him earlier. Please put your hands together for him. I saw him. Okay, there he is. And then also to come up stage, we'll be having the national chairperson, the chairperson, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Abuja, Mrs. Olushola Bankole. Please put your hands together for her. I see the clap from this side is more resounding. And then we would also be having representing Platform Innovations, Mrs. Chukwudi Esther Ngozi. Please put your hands together for her as she comes up stage. Is she in the building? Not yet. Okay, so we move straight into the presentations. The first person will be speaking to us on bridging the challenge of digital inequality for remote learning in Africa. And to bring this to us is no other person than the Executive Director of RFID Africa Foundation, Mr. Daniel Omoforman. Please put your hands together for him. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be in your midst. First, I'd like to thank the organizers for putting this together, Afritex and the Ministry of Education. Then also to welcome you all. You're wonderful people. I see beautiful faces here. And also my team of experts on this other side. I'm Omofoma Daniel. I'm the co-founder of the RFID African Foundation. And what we do at the RFID African Foundation is to promote innovative ideas and see how we can scale up systems that will sustain Africa. And over the years, we've been supporting both government and non-government programs to see how they all can be sustainable. You will agree with me that there are quite a lot of innovative solutions out there, but sustainability is the issue. So what are the sustainable plans that will keep some of these programs, policies, projects going forward, and that will keep them to stand the test of time? I'll be presenting just discussion on bridging the challenge on digital inequality for remote learning in Africa. We all know what the losses in terms of man-hour, in terms of skill, and in terms of financial revenue caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And not just losses of life alone, but we have lost quite a lot of time, which we cannot get back. And we need to scale some of our activities, some of our policies. We need to push them forward to see how we can meet up with the lost time. The world we know, it's challenged, it's changed dramatically in the wake of COVID-19 virus. Many institutions of the world have had to adapt or completely change their method of doing things, most especially the educational sector, because they were badly affected. We had months of lockdown. We cannot open our schools. We have to remodel our schools. We have to put so many digital activities in place, programs, systems, infrastructure, policies in place. And getting all this to work was just focused around the rural areas. And the divide is quite huge. Majority of our folks, our family, friends and relatives are more in the remote locations where we don't have digital infrastructure working. And of course, the educational systems have had to evolve from traditional classroom learning to desktop style of learning. This means new methods of digital platforms, online, offline methods of learning. And children in rural areas, underdeserved communities, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa at large, have been left out of this new digital transition. And of course, it's sad reality for many who do not have internet. You will agree with me that quite a lot of the platforms, systems that have been built between 2019, 2020, and 2021 today are all as a result of the COVID-19. And majority of them are internet-enabled systems. This means where there's no internet, there's no learning. And we have to leverage on how we can bridge this digital gap. A study conducted by the Education Partner Center in 2020 revealed that 28% of teachers reported that their students were not actively learning during the pandemic as a result of inaccessibility of digital tools for learning. Further research by the ITU, International Telecommunication Union, states that the internet penetration in Nigeria as a case, we're in Nigeria, of course, we're the most populated black nation and the most populated nation in Africa. At 42% internet penetration, this means more than half of Nigerians don't have access to the internet. This suggests that more than half don't have access. It's a fact. And this report was released by ITU. 42% of Nigerians don't have access, not connected to the internet. The digital divide not only affects Nigerians, but many other countries in the world and in Africa. And with more technology advancements set to occur in the world, this divide continues to widen. Of course, infrastructure is a problem. You agree with me, most times when it rains, not only your TV cable, it's losing signal. Sometimes our digital tools, our mobile devices, our internet broadband access, they all lose network. They all just lose connectivity. So infrastructure is still a problem. This means we have to bring stakeholders together. I thank the organizers, but I think it's important in the next edition of this wonderful event, you should have NCC here. We have very innovative solutions down there. I've gone around the booths and I've seen what our Nigerian young scientists and technologists are doing. Quite interesting, quite impressive. But of course, the operators are not here. We all leverage on 4 major telecommunication operators. I'm not seeing MTN, I'm not seeing 9 Mobile. What we have to bring them here. I commend the efforts of Afritex, but I think the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy should be a critical partner in driving education technology. And also, the Nigerian Communication Commission needs to be on board. When I mean on board, they have a critical role to play. Most of the EdTech solutions that are out there would function, if not all, or leverage on access to the internet. So this means we have to get the telcos, the 4 major telecommunication companies, to come to the table. We have to bring them to the table to see how they can create systems, create digital access to the internet that are education compliant, not we trying to use the same voice and data for our regular and daily activities. We're trying to connect through those same plans, data plans or SIM modules to get access to the internet. Not without help to bridge this divide. I would recommend just 4 solutions, 4 recommendations. And of course, this will go for the educators and the educational institutions and the critical stakeholders. Study materials, basic education, tertiary education, secondary education, tertiary education. We need to look at how we can digitalize some of the curriculums, syllabuses, and have them uploaded possibly into a USB drive and make them more interactive. We have traditional textbooks. I have gone around, so a few companies or startups there, they're trying to digitalize some of this content and have it embedded, encrypted, or otherwise compressed to have it in digital formats, voice, video. That will make learning easier and also make it available to students without internet connection. I give you a case in the United States, and that's what we call the Home Connect, Student Connect. Every student, it's under the Barack Obama administration. Every American child, it signs up into a platform that gives them connection to their schools, both on their tabs and their laptops or desktops at home. So there's the Home Connect. And the telcos, like the big telcos like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, these big telcos, they are brought to the table by Barack Obama and the Secretary for Education. They developed very unique connectivity infrastructure, very unique, strictly for education, not for business, not for regular day. And they got more than 5 million homes connected in the state of Texas. And I think such models should be adopted. That's why I keep calling. I don't know who's representing the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. We cannot drive digital economy without education. So I think the ministry should put more effort in supporting our educational tech programs and policies and see how we can get some of these schools connected. The second recommendation will be educational institutions can provide offline devices to aid learning. Yes, of course, offline. There are a few companies I met down there, they have a box. I think it's almost like a cable box. It goes online, offline. So you can actually connect a screen, a smart board to it and teach. It's interactive, and at the end of learning day, you can have them all uploaded to the internet, so the cloud application. So I think majority of our schools need this. I'm more concerned about the government schools. I'm sorry to say, I know the private schools, they have all the support to put infrastructure in place, and the public schools need to have, we need to focus on the public schools. Telecommunication giants, I always want to make reference to them when it comes to digitalization in this country, because without them, no matter how interesting our ideas is, we still need bandwidth. We need to connect. We need connectivity, online, offline connectivity. We need to connect. So without connectivity, some of these innovative ideas, solutions might not work. Dr. Shola, I was making reference, and I commend your effort. But I think there's a lot more we need to do. I have 4 recommendations. The third one is to get the telecommunication giant involved. I don't know what the plans is, but I think Afritechs need to interface not only with the Ministry of Education, but also with the Ministry of Digital Economy and NCC to see how some of these innovative solutions can leverage on customized internet connectivity assets. I made reference to the Obama administration. They had what they called the Connect Home. They connected about 5 million homes strictly for learning activities. So in the break of COVID-19, they didn't have issues. Every child was still in the classroom. So we have done quite a lot, tried to automate, digitalize some of our learning curriculum, but we still need connectivity. So it's important we get the ministry, NCC most especially, and the telcos, the 4 major giants, the 4 giants, MTN, Glo, 9 Mobile, and EdTech. We need to get them on the table. They need to come up with unique connectivity plans for education technology. We need to have policies that will drive education technology. So it's very critical. If not, we'll still be consuming, we'll still be having issues that we're having with our regular connectivity. When it rains, there's no school. When there's no internet, there's no learning. I know 60% of what we are doing relies on the internet. We can do 40% offline. And also, I see we have smart tabs. There are quite a lot of tabs coming out of Asia. They're pretty much affordable. As low as $50, you can get a 7 or 9-inch tablet. We can look at how we work with the same digital economy ministry to domesticate the development of tablets. I believe we can give every child between the age of 6 and 14 a tablet. It's not too much for them. And with the population, which of course there are loads of, the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, is calling for depopulation, that we're almost getting overpopulated. We need to leverage on the population. How can we start developing tablets that will cost 10,000, 5,000, strictly for education? So we have all these wonderful solutions out there embedded in it from source. So every child has a tab, and there are programs that we shouldn't converge the children in schools. Geography and a few of these should go digital, right? Then, I'll be honest with you. I must be honest. I have a challenge and I have a case, and we all share the same challenge. Our schools are not safe anymore. So no matter how innovative, how smart, how much digitalization we're doing, if we're not thinking safe school, then we'll most likely not have schools anytime soon. It's almost one of the most lucrative business in some part of the country. So I will encourage the organizers to see how you can also mobilize plans with the law enforcement agencies. I see the association, you're doing quite a lot. I commend your effort. But of course, you need safe school. True. Yes. You have basic security measures in place. But how smart? How many schools are connected to the law enforcement? Can you push a button from your school and you get a response? No. Some of these schools are in a very remote location. And really and truly, we can't tell what next, where next, who next. We cannot. If we don't have safe schools, no matter how much digital systems we put in place, we're still not going to be safe. So I think, Mr. Shola, please, you could do a roundtable meeting, bring stakeholders together. I'll recommend that. I believe you have the capacity and what it takes to bring the stakeholders. Let's not only talk about smart schools or digital schools, let's talk about safe schools so that we have the beautiful kids out there safe. And both those in the remote and the rural areas, we'll see how we can protect them. If not, I don't know where it's going to be in the next few years, if we're still going to have classrooms or we just go back home. I encourage you all to look at this and see how we can come up with innovative solutions that will protect our schools. We have innovative learning ideas, innovative learning platforms, but also we need to have smart schools, schools that are safe. This is most critical now for us as a nation. I believe we're great people, like my former boss, late Professor Dora Akinluyi would say, good people, great nation. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Wow. We need to be more innovative, creating ways to keep our children safe in schools. I think that's very, very vital in the Nigeria that we are in now. Okay, we are going to move on to the next presenter.
Sir, I don't know if we were here yesterday. Okay, I think it might be important for me to point out that the director of ICT for the ministry said they're already doing things with the telcos and they are looking at a lot of options, maybe special SIM cards or different options, giving special quantity of data to students. Or yesterday, some other people also gave suggestions that they could map out some spaces and reduce the data or make it free within the learning environment. I just felt I should let you know that it was discussed yesterday. But Dr. Woru has promised that subsequently we're going to be bringing a lot of telcos and a lot of other partners who would help with the infrastructure for advancement of e-learning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's my main anchor. Okay, moving on. We're going to give a break for those on stage. Just call in one of our speakers, then we'll continue from there. Okay, so I would like to invite here right now Elizabeth Auger, representing Crystal Digital. A round of applause, please. Please keep clapping. Let's cheer her up. You're welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, students here present. Good morning, proprietors and proprietors of schools. I'm here to represent the MDC or Crystal Digital. I've been here since the beginning of the event. From yesterday, we've had a lot of information and a lot of enlightenment. I'm here to tell our story. I'm going to be reading his speech. The person of Temitope Ogunshemo, he would have been here, but due to uncontrollable circumstances, he's not here. So I'm just going to be reading his speech to us. It is a great privilege for me to address this distinguished gathering. Our story is one that has been told over and over again, but yet it maintains relevance. Our organization over the past decade has improved the educational sector through technology-driven services. Crystal Digital started out as a free service in 2010, that is 2010, born out of the need to automate results in schools and transcript production. This was as a result of the peculiar challenges I encountered while trying to access past results and transcripts at the prestigious King's College, Lagos, when I had to proceed for my master's education at the time. With the success of results automation at King's College, a business was created, and the company proceeded to do the same for other federal unity colleges across the country. The solution, called My School Portal, was birthed. My School Portal is a one-stop solution for school information system management. With this solution, we have successfully computerized and delivered student results, maintained student and staff database, and assisted schools in moving up the ICT ladder and adding value to the colleges that have adopted it. In 2015, we saw the need to promote digital literacy among students in the secondary schools. This drove us to striking a partnership with Microsoft education team and developing a unique curriculum for students in junior and senior secondary school. The Crystal IT Academy has successfully benefited schools, trained students in skill development classes, and empowered them with the right soft skills that will enable them compete favorably with their counterparts anywhere in the world. Again, in 2019, the FME, that's the Federal Ministry of Education, approved the company as a technical partner for billing through the centralized billing platform. The central billing system is to ease the process and reduce the constant challenges associated with schools, with school fee payments faced by students and parents. This project has successfully been adopted across the 110 federal unity colleges, and its many benefits cannot be overemphasized. The company has witnessed monumental growth. We have engaged with different states and institutions on the automation of certain key processes. An example is the Benue State government and the Benue State Ministry of Education that has partnered with us to develop an education management information system, that is the EMIS, for schools in Benue State. This project commenced last year, and the platform is set to integrate all activities of schools in the state for easy monitoring and planning by the state government. Recently, given the realities of our time, particularly the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that a pain can be converted to purpose. The Ministry of Education, once again, has commissioned us for the e-learning project. We spoke a little about that yesterday. This project was born out of the need to solving rapid change in learning caused by the pandemic. We consider e-learning the future of education. We are building an online platform that is set to transform the traditional brick and mortar mode of learning to a more efficient self-paced learning. This will most certainly bridge learning gaps, allow for better understanding of subject matters, and classes can be taken over and over until understood by the learner. The e-learning platform definitely covers all the subjects offered in the secondary education level. We have positioned ourselves for the evolving educational strides, tagging along with projections of the African Union, the United Nations, and the UNESCO. The AU is currently promoting the 2063 Agenda for Educational Transformation. It has identified that the future of Africa is too important to be left to the African Union and the national government alone. To realize this agenda, there is need to make institutions own the processes of creating the Africa that we want. And in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, the UNESCO is also championing the 2030 agenda. Every goal in this agenda requires education to empower people with the knowledge, skills, and values to live in dignity, build their lives, and contribute to their societies. Now more than ever, we strive to see the need for institutions of learning to create an environment for students which makes it easy to learn. The culture must be universal, and everyone should be taught to participate. Looking beyond schools, we are optimistic that we have the means to revolutionize states, governments, institutions, and individuals through other avenues if given the opportunity. By getting more connections, collaborations, and partnerships, we will ensure that education remains a priority and training people to get the right skills that will boost the country's productivity. Once again, we remain ready to be among the people that will make this difference. We call for collaborations and more connections. Thank you very much. This is a speech from Temitope Ogunshemo, MD CEO, Crystal Digital. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you so, so much. I like your shoes. All right, thank you very much. As I said, we will be moving very fast because of time and because of the event in the afternoon. To take us forward, we'll be looking at reimagination of education. This topic is expected to address reimagination of education as a foundational challenge as countries invest in remote learning as an emergency measure for teaching and learning. To take this would be none other than my friend, my brother. He plays fantastic football, by the way, and is the president of Capital Sportive Football Club, Mr. Rex Abitogun.
This is fun. Good morning, everyone. Are we tired? Good morning, everybody. Better. Thank you. Let me start by, I'd like to stand on the existing protocol and also thank the organizers of this event. And I think I join other people who have spoken earlier and advocate for more involvement of government, private sector in driving this initiative. It is an initiative that worth pursuing, and it's something that I think the stakeholders will work together in hand with Afritex and take this to the next level. Having said that, I would like to congratulate my very good brother, my friend, Shola Owuru, for the success of this event, working with your team. I know what it means to put this kind of event together, and lots of sleepless nights, and at the tail end, things can technology can fail you. So until after the review meeting, I'm not sure you're going to have that rest that you're urging for. But congratulations, and we thank everybody that make this a success. Reimagining education in Nigeria is something that all of us need to look at and see how we're faring in terms of technology adoption in driving education in Africa or in Nigeria. My presentation will focus on some key areas. We look at the state of our nation in terms of adoption of remote learning. We look at what remote learning is about, and we'll talk about the challenges in terms of implementation, and we look at some recommendations for stakeholders. Then we look at adaptive learning as it relates to designing remote learning system for people living with, for special education, the special students. So when we talk about remote learning, specifically, we're looking at the process of acquiring, sharing knowledge from a distance through a technology-enabled tools. Technology-enabled tools. So it means that when you talk about remote learning, it's centered around technology. So you have three key players. You have the education or the academic community, you have the technology partners, and you have the learners, as well as the teachers. So where are we in our country in terms of remote learning? And I think the pandemic really exposed our situation, and it shows a lot of things in terms of what we're doing right or what we're not doing right. Today, you agree with me that a lot of our universities, a lot of our academic institutions are far away from other nations in terms of using technology to drive learning. The basic three key things that you find in the university system is teaching, learning, and service, or learning, research, and service. So as learners, when we're confronted with challenges, do we have that leverage of continuing with our academic calendar without the fear of COVID? How many of our students can comfortably say they are acquiring knowledge or they are learning during the pandemic? These are some of the issues that we face in our country. Yes, we can talk about the private universities, the private schools. A couple of things that were done during the pandemic to keep students busy. But when you look at the largest population of learners in our community today, you find them in the public sector. You find them in the public universities, the polytechnics, the public secondary schools. And funny enough, these people, they were home for over a year. The pandemic struck, we were stuck in it. The NASU strike, we were stalled in it. So now you now ask yourself, for those number of months missed, how do we cover up? And that necessitates this topic, remote learning in Nigeria. Where are we? Where do we want to be? Where should we be? So we're going to look at the assessment and equally make some recommendations with the hope that key stakeholders will push this forward. And in talking about this, I was sharing something with my very good friend here. For some of you that are familiar with the research community, sometimes way back 2005, there is this agenda of having a network that promotes interoperability, easily accessible, and that will provide leverage for researchers in Nigeria to connect with other researchers in the world. And the project was conceived, NGRAIL. NGREN, championed by NUC with support from some development partners and donors, including Ford Foundation, World Bank, MacArthur Foundation. That project today is suffering from neglect. That project today is still having challenge. And just some weeks ago, the ASU chairman made a statement, and that statement was all in the media when he said Nigeria cannot implement e-learning at the moment. The context may be different, but what the media push out is that it is not possible or it is not doable in Nigeria. And you agree with me that it is doable, it is achievable, it is being done. Okay, but the people that are doing this, they are not in the government sector. You find most of them in the private sector. Today, if you look around, most of the schools we have here, I believe they are from the private space. Where are the government students, or where are the students from public schools? So these are some of the things that we need to think about and ask ourselves if we're really doing good to this country. And ask ourselves, what role do I have to play? What role am I only to way, or what contribution can I do? Can I make in terms of pushing this remote learning system in our environment? Remote learning can be one-to-one, it can be one-to-two, or more of a group-to-group. Remote learning can be in form of seminars, conference. Is a way of taking lecture from the four walls of the academic environment, okay, and taking it to an online community. And this requires the people, that is the students, it requires the lecturers or the teachers, it requires the technology partners, which is where some of the private hands come in. He has adopted, he has pushed, he pushed for the telcos to be involved in our education technology in our community. It is very, very important. But again, I think the telcos will be more concerned about if we spend a lot of money supporting the education system, what are we getting in terms of incentive from government? And these are critical questions that only government officials can answer. Now, when we talk about, when you look at let's start from the design system in terms of promoting local content. We need to have community of developers within Nigeria to develop solutions that can solve Nigeria's problem as well as other neighboring countries. I've heard a lot of developers, I've seen a lot of them, of course from the community I belong, people saying develop solutions for the world. And I say you can't develop solution for the world when you have not developed solution for your own environment. So we need to start from here. If we have so many problems that need to be solved in terms of administration, in terms of learning, in terms of name it. So if we have solutions that are developed that are being used here, okay, and people are promoting it, it cut across different community, then neighboring countries can come aboard and say, okay, oh, because this has worked successfully in Nigeria, we can move to another sphere. Two is that there's need for us to change our mindset in terms of our approach to e-learning. Till tomorrow, some people will tell you that e-learning cannot, I'm not going to be part of e-learning. We have some schools that are totally rejecting it. Some people have phobia for it. Okay? So, we can't continue this way. The mindset needs to change. There must be adoption, there must be awareness, there must be advocacy, okay, in terms of technology adoption in education. If you can transact money online, then learning shouldn't be a difficult thing online. One of the things that we equally need to understand is that we've talked about major challenge to this is bandwidth. If you look at I have some data here. If you look at the cost of bandwidth in Africa, it may be, Nigeria I think we're not doing too badly, okay? If you compare to US, yes, US may be doing better in terms of the cost of bandwidth. And we all know that we have this challenge. But the cost of bandwidth all over the world is usually subsidized by government through, in one way or the other, through incentives for the providers of the internet. So this needs to be done. I know that the Ministry of Communication has made some form of leeway in terms of right of way before now. Before now, for you to lay your fiber from here to Nasarawa State, you need to pay some amount of money to state government at Nasarawa State. And this money is not coming from the government, it's coming from the private sector, the owners that are laying this cable. There's a threat. In my office, at times, you just find out that the internet went off. Okay, we use the cost possibly will come from fiber damage. We have some people that ordinarily go to these fiber cable that are laid and they destroy it, either because their employers failed or delay their payment, and this affects this affects everybody. These are some of the challenges that we face in our country. Other challenge comes from the personnel. Personnel in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge. Do we have the right skills? Do we have the right knowledge to use these tools? When pandemic struck, I'm sure a lot of parents, they were frustrated in terms of how to supervise their children, in terms of doing their assignment. Some private schools took the lead, they took the initiative to conduct learning online using WhatsApp, just basic tools that you can think of, using WhatsApp, using Zoom, okay? And people complain. If I ask the private teachers here, what complaint did they get most? Most of those complaints come from the amount of money I'm spending on bandwidth or buying data. Am I right? Okay, parents complain about that. So education shouldn't be a burden on the parents, shouldn't be a burden on the citizen. The government have a major role to play in terms of subsidizing it. And when you are subsidizing it, you need to make sure that the infrastructure cost, and when I talk about infrastructure, I talk about the internet infrastructure, the broadband, I talk about the electricity, okay, I talk about the tools. Some people don't have basic thing like laptop. Some people have old phone. Thanks to pandemic, to some people, they were able to upgrade because they need to have their children to take learning online. The Nigeria education policy is equally another challenge. Today, our policy does not support e-learning. At a point, Nigeria conceived the idea of the Open University. The Open University, which will have been something similar to remote learning. Today, we invest a lot of money in infrastructure, in buildings. Buildings that are not connected to the internet, buildings that have no power support, buildings that lack power, okay, to power the equipments you have for learning. How will students learn under such condition? So these are some of the challenges that we equally need to look into. Part of the challenge also is that some of the tools that we have, we don't have people with the right knowledge to champion this among the special education community. Adaptive learning is very, because today we can talk about people that are doing well in terms of having their eyes, their ears working. What about people that cannot see? What about people that don't have ears? There are tools developed, there are tools out there that make this happen, that you can use. Today, one of the things that Microsoft has done to the Word application, you have a dictate tool. Just that tool alone, you can dictate to it. After a while, the system master the way you talk and your pronunciation and type some things. So as we are dictating, the system is typing it for you. Then you can now do your correction. It saves a lot of time. These are part of adaptive learning tools that we need to invest in. But some of these in Do we have it in our special schools? We may not have it. Some don't even know about it. And these are some of the ways by which we can bridge that digital gap, by which we can have an inclusive education system. So what is the way forward? The way forward is that there must be adequate awareness and promotion of remote learning system in our environment. There's need for training and retraining of our teachers in terms of using some of these available tools. There's need for affordable broadband. Government must work in hand with the telcos or with the internet service provider in such a way that the cost of bandwidth, the cost of data will be more affordable for our learning community. There's need for partnership. Partnership, you need the technology people to come in, design the solution, or work with management of schools to come up with solutions. And this is going on to solve to a large extent within the private community. You have individuals that now go to some of these private schools, volunteer their skills, teach students on machine learning, teach students on robotics, teach students on deep learning. Okay, all these are the skills required for the 21st century, and we must be ready to champion this. The National Assembly must enact a law that allows for remote learning, because if we don't have a law backing this, there possibly will be layback from the academic community. There's need to define remote learning system that will accommodate people, special students, in a way that is more easier to use, in a way that is more affordable to acquire. Adaptive learning tools can aid online learning for special students. So in doing this, there must be consideration. Consideration should be on the design system. There should be security in terms of the solution that we are designing. Security by design is very, very important, and we must build security into our system. We've heard of cases in a particular university, a private university in the north, which I'm not going to mention the name now, where students, in the course of exploring or putting their hands or practicing one or two things, they get involved in assessing the university ERP system, manipulate it, change the password, and extort the university in a way by taking some money out of the university. So there must be security in the solutions that we're developing to solve education problem. And when we do this, I believe that a whole lot of things will work in our favor. On a final note, it is our responsibility as technology providers, as learners, as teachers, as students, to champion the cause for remote learning. If we have people learning either from their village or from anywhere, it will help in developing our education system. Today we have a lot of people acquiring education online, and these people, they are doing a whole lot in terms of bringing about social change in our environment. And I hope that our educators or our regulators or the government or the lawmakers will look into this area and make this a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rex. Thank you for sticking to time. That was 12 minutes. We really appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, so taking us further, the key role of EdTech in bridging the gap for access to blended learning for children and special educational needs and disabilities. I'll be calling on Mrs. Olushola Bankole, Chairperson, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, Abuja. You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, good morning once again.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to sincerely appreciate Dr. Shola, for his, like Ajia noted, organizing this wonderful summit, and then the exhibition on the other side. I've been part of the AfriTech and EdTech Summit for a while, and so I know the quality of process and activities that go on. I want to also use the opportunity to say that it's important. I haven't listened to those that have spoken. Ajay has spoken today, and I know some spoke yesterday concerning, speaking to educational technology deployment particularly, that it is necessary that we don't just talk, but we do the walking of the talking. I'm sure those of us in the sector, we are tired of hearing a lot of bogus ideas, innovations. My brother was talking about, I'll need to meet you anyway, Association of Innovators in Nigeria and all of that. What has all these beautiful ideas? Dr. Shola the other time was also telling us that there was an exhibition of a Nigerian product, and people wouldn't believe that it's from Nigeria, as if we are doms and dollars from this side of the world. And I don't believe that. A lot of work is being done, and possibly because of our attitude, we're not getting it out there, and we're not getting the support of those that have the capability to get it out there to do that. And that's why I keep supporting Ajia, the Gleason School's innovative idea, program. When they brought out the Myra boat, I kept, honing it everywhere. And, other schools that have such programs, let's also bring it out and let people know. I'm actually particularly talking about special education needs. A lot of people hear about special education. They are thinking only of children with cerebral palsy, children who are handicapped, who are blind, who can't hear, and all of that. They are part of them, but there are more. There are other learning disabilities. There are autistic children. There are children with, there are also the gifted and talented children. They are also special. We need to take care of them, which brings me to, the fact that we don't even have standardized way of testing to ascertain our gifted and talented children, which is why a lot of parents, and I want to call all parents and those that are decision makers, especially in the education sector, that are here, to please stop rushing our children. We are beginning to see 8-year-olds in secondary school. I don't know what they are doing there. Do I believe in the gifted and talented? Of course I do. I've had one student like that. Of course, everything. She's a holistic, gifted child. But how about those, because they passed exam, we rush them off. Hey, double promotion. Please, let's stop it. We are destroying the education system of this country. And we're not helping things to move forward. So quickly, the key role of EdTech. We know these special children, these differently enabled students, they need other things to help them to learn in their space. And in recent times, those of us in that field of special education, we try as much as possible to ensure that we have our children in inclusive environment. We don't want school for the blind, only blind are there. School for the deaf, only deaf students are there. It does not really help them. We need to integrate them into the society. And that's why we have some of our schools in FCT and across the nation. Private schools, there are a few public schools that are also trying to do inclusive education now, where we have those special children right in the regular classrooms. And I tell you, they are doing fantastically well. I don't know whether there is any one of them from my school here. Okay, no, they are not. I thought their class is part of those that came. I would have let you know that when you see them, you may not know they are differently enabled. They are special. And when we now segregate them, we are creating problems. There are a lot of apps, softwares, and devices that have been generated to support their learning. Because, of course, their own learning can be more tasking. It can require a lot more than when you are teaching a regular child. but it is doable with convenience, particularly when technology is brought to bear. And as much as possible, we want to emphasize that we don't just want our children to be in school. We don't just want to give them education. We want to give them quality education. And that's why during the COVID period, when there was the lockdown, I kept preaching everywhere that as much as we have a lot of out-of-school children, I learned the largest in Africa, in Nigeria, we need to also, as we are planning to bring them into school, we shouldn't just, pack them somewhere where somebody is just shouting and screaming and telling them stories and they are not learning. We want even our public schools. I am in the private sector, but we want even our public school students to get quality education, not just quantity, that everybody just be there. And it doesn't cost too much to get that done. And so for every child, there is a need for that quality education given to them, including those that are specially enabled. In fact, in the area of accommodating, for instance, those that are dyslexic, those that have challenges with reading, it's also a special needs. That's why you see some children, they are in the class, instead of the teacher understanding what their needs are so that they can accommodate it. You hear teachers say, oh, that one is olodo, it cannot read. You can imagine, he can't read, he can't count. There are different categories of special needs. There is dysgraphia, dyslexia, autism, several. Technology can help to give them a faster and better support. And that's what we are looking at here. Now, we can, some of those technology devices, apps, software providers on the other end, I hope they are listening. For instance, for those that are dyslexic, there is software that was developed in America called Gemini. It's working so well, especially with dyslexic children who are having challenges with reading and autistic children. I hope some of them can think of having a local one because it's expensive to get it. You have to pay on a monthly basis and all of that. So it is necessary. There are some of those technology that are already in place. For instance, for the blind children, we have the Braille, but consistent and constant review of the devices and the technology that is available is quite important. And luckily, I said luckily, we had COVID-19, and it brought us face to face with the need to be serious with ensuring that technology is widely and effectively deployed. Including, when this is said, you hear people thinking only private schools. No, I'm saying every child, every educational setting, we should be able to deploy technology effectively, such that if we need to be at home again for any reason, we can keep the children learning. And that's why we can also push aside those ones that are, special needs children. Now, what steps are being taken? I've mentioned to reach the most disadvantaged students during emergencies. I've mentioned the use of technology. For instance, we notice that some of these tech giants are also doing something to support some of them too. For instance, you notice that some of your Android and smartphones, they are doing text to speech. In fact, recently, not too long ago, WhatsApp made it so easy that instead of you doing what's that called? Where you record your speech. Voice notes. Instead of doing that, you can actually type what you are saying. You can get what you're saying typed. That's text to speech. So in other words, if we have a blind student or who is not seeing well, he could as well just learn to know where that part of the smartphone is, punch it, and then, if he could speak to it, and then, whatever he's saying is being typed out. I don't know whether some of us have tried it. It's possible even with as close as WhatsApp. So these are devices and technology that we can deploy to help those ones that are special in our environment. And then the solutions that we are seeing from COVID-19 pandemic, that COVID-19 pandemic brought to bear, we need to keep them. We need to enhance them. Many schools now are doing online classes, or they did during the lockdown. What happens? Should we stop? No. Same goes for these special needs. There are times that they may need to go to the hospital, and maybe by the time they got back, it's too late to come to school. It is possible for their schools, whether the specialized schools or the inclusive schools, to continue to do online classes for them. Maybe those that can hear, that can see, depending on their challenges, or those that are physically challenged. They may continue to learn if they are not able to come to the classroom. That's what we are saying, what I'm trying to pass on. So we need to continue to enhance and, effectively deploy this technology. And okay, I think I've talked also about the recommendations. The last speaker talked about ensuring that we have internet, because a lot of this technology are internet dependent. When we came on board in NAPS 2018, we wrote letters to two of these tech giants, network service providers in Nigeria, for their FCT head office. And till now, by the time they gave us their platform, the plan for education, it's actually more expensive than the regular. So I just pushed it aside. They said, they want to give us specialized one so that we'll have more bandwidth, and then it's going to be running, our internet will run faster. And I'm like, why can't we think about the importance of education? And now I'm talking more for the special needs children. Why can't we think of how to provide internet accessibility to them to make it easier for their learning? A lot of the devices for the special children, the braille, the dumbbell, the audio meter, the special wheelchairs they will need to function, to make their learning easier and faster and better for them, require more, maybe internet, or, it's costing more. I'm appealing both to the Federal Ministry of Education, to well-spirited Nigerians, parents, school leaders, school owners, and those who can influence, NGOs, to come to the aid of these special children by supporting. There are so many of such schools. In fact, we also notice that in some of their schools, we are getting, one of the speakers also talked about Safe School Initiative, and one technology they are brought to bear. He was just sharing with me here. Such could also be brought to bear in some of our public schools as well, where we have these special children. We have school for the blind. We have school for the deaf in Kuje. We have for the blind in Jabi. We can ensure that some of these devices, technology, are available to these students, so that we will not keep pushing them aside. We can actually get to a point where those ones that are having speech challenge, they are not completely dumb, but they are not able to, with a lot of technology being utilized, we can get them to that point where they are beginning to verbalize, in such a way you can hear them clearly. You can understand what they are saying. Of course, so many technology, this technology is actually available in different forms and formats, but continuous improvements on them would also make them to work particularly to support the special needs children. In closing, another passionate appeal is that parents, if we know some parents who have special children and they are hiding them at home, and they are refusing to come to terms with the fact that these are children also, and they are trying to treat them differently in the sense that they make them look like they are less humans. Some of us are appealing. I am appealing, and I'm saying, even in our regular schools, we are taking them in now. Because the aim is to get them to become as functional as possible. And we are seeing a lot of good results with many of them.
those that are having challenges with autism. You are seen with a lot of therapies, which is technology dependent too, in different forms. There are some massagers that we use for some of them. All these things being available and continually being improved upon can help these children to learn and to live functional lives for themselves. So if we have people who have them and are hiding them, let's encourage them to bring them out. And I know that Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. That was really apt. You know, talking about children with special needs. Paying attention to these children so they can be who they are meant to be. Now, taking us further, before we go further, I would like to announce that there's coffee out there. You can feel free. It's free. Everybody can just go at some point to just have a cup or more if you would like. Taking us further today, the topic is using education technology to tackle the menace of out-of-school children. We are having with us the CEO and founder, Educational Advanced Center, Mr. Muyiwa Bamgoshe. Please, a round of applause as he comes up.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Some years ago, they were training people how to parachute. Jump down from the plane, pull the cord. All right, is it okay? Can I have another one? This one keeps going off. All right, now the instruction was simple. When you jump out of the plane, count one. Hello, hello. Okay, hello. Okay, can I have some better volume? Okay, so the instruction was count 1 to 10 and pull the cord. Then the parachute will open. But there was this guy, he hit the ground without pulling the cord. So they rushed to him. What was wrong? And when they got to him, he was saying 7. You know what happened? They gave them a general instruction, count 1 to 10. But this guy was a stammerer. So he jumped out of the plane, he said 1, 2. By the time he got to 7, he was on the ground. Are you with me? So in other words, there is a need for a special attention to every child. So let's go. The PowerPoint. So I'll be speaking to us about using education technology to help the problem of students with special needs and maybe disabilities. Okay, let's go. Please, you need to follow me so that I won't waste too much time. Okay, now we know that Nigeria has been on the map. Just go on. Because somebody said we have the highest number of out-of-school children in Africa, in the world. In the world. We are bigger than India with out-of-school children. You can Google it. We have the highest number in the world. This is an area that Nigeria has become first. Very sad. All right. But we know that there are different things contributing to this problem. Okay, this is a special situation gone. All right, so there are different causes for these children to be on the streets. But I also want to say that there are effects on their being on the streets. Some of them were there because parents abandoned them. Okay, some were disabled before, but some of them, no matter what, they become disabled by the time you put them on the streets. So some of them are there because of poverty-related issues, security problems. Some were driven out of their places. Some can't find schools. Okay? Please, just follow me. Just follow me. Follow me. You're going to fast. Now, there are some that are on the street because of wrong societal values. The last speaker spoke about parents who have disabled children, and they feel they are no value. All right? Then, when they get on the street, they also find that there are parental control issues. There's no parent figure. Nobody is directing them. So when we talk about education, we have an assumption that most children have parents. If a child doesn't have anybody controlling the child, that's a disability. That's a need. Some of them have location problems, nowhere to stay. There are also issues with teachers. Sometimes you don't have good teachers. Sometimes the teachers you have are not good, and sometimes you don't even have them at all. I say to most private school owners, good teachers are hard to keep. The ones who stay are usually the not too good ones. All right? So all these problems compound the issues. Go on. All right? And sometimes perception of relevance. Some people don't consider education important. There was a case of a farmer. He was arguing, why would I send my child to school? The one that went to school is not better than the one that didn't go to school. Until he saw a child apply what we call rotational cropping. And he said, wow, so something can happen because you planted corn and you planted groundnut. All right? So, perception problems. Now, for those that are with poverty problems, whether disabled by physical things or economic things, many of them need to fend for themselves. All right? So whatever intervention we want to provide or prefer must allow them to fend for themselves. Yes? And so it might need to give them flexible timing. You want them to go to school in the morning, that's when they can get their customers. So it won't work with them. All right? Where you have security problems, you can't bring them together. Go on. For those that have wrong perceptions, wrong values, there's a need to reprogram their minds. Yes? For those that don't like going to school by themselves, we need to make learning attractive to them. It mustn't be boring. It mustn't be difficult. All right? For those who are forced to move, education needs to become mobile to them. You can imagine if somebody is always on the move because the parents can't have a place, or he or she, their children that don't have a place. So that learning process must be mobile, yes. And we should give them quality education, like the last speaker said. You don't just want to give them anything, all right? And it's got to be functional. If a child finds that there are values to be derived from learning, the child will put attention to learning. And when I say functional, we need to bring in things like, can they repair mobile phones? Can they plant some things in bags? You know, things that can add value to them. Because when they see that their education is adding value to them, then they will go to school or they will learn as you provide. So we're talking about using technology, education technology. There's also the whole, please go back. Go back. Go back. Yep. There's also the whole world of those with special education needs and disabilities that are totally excluded, even in schools. When you go to schools, they are treated like that man who was asked to jump down and count 1 to 10. Nobody takes care of their special needs. Nobody understands. Some of my children studied issues of autism. Many children that we call stubborn, difficult, different kind of things in Nigeria, they just have autism, and they can be successful. When you know that somebody like Richard Branson, he's autistic, okay? Then he tells you that there's nobody that can't make something. Bill Gates has his own disabilities, but he became Bill Gates, all right? So we need to accommodate all this. Move on, all right? And when we look at all the myriad of issues, technology is the best fit. Technology is what can accommodate mobility, that can accommodate quality, that can accommodate adaptability to people, yes? All right. However, it's not every technological intervention that's appropriate. I'm sorry to disagree with a lot of people that have spoken. Internet is not a good fit, not in Nigeria. Internet is not a good fit. Look, during the pandemic, parents kept on complaining about data, right, ma? Because in a week, somebody could spend 10,000 naira on data. You wrote to all the telcos. I'm not surprised they would not answer you. I went to MTN. I went to their head office. I went to Glo. I went to Airtel. They are making less money on voice calls. Are you following me? You know where they are making money now? On data. And you want them to negotiate on that. They won't. Because they're here for money. So whatever technology we're going to use must be adapted to bypass internet. Where am I going? Let's just go on. All right? So for me, internet is not a good fit. It's not everywhere. All right? And it is very expensive. I know I use over 100 gigabytes per month, and I know what it costs me. How many people can afford that? All right? The technology has to be sustainable, both in terms of access and in power use. Okay? Let's move on. In most cases, out-of-school children, they don't have a functional parent figure. There's nobody to advise them. There's nobody to direct them. Move on. Okay? And in most cases, the children are surrounded by speakers of native tongues. You see, when you look at the curriculum, the learning materials, even from primary 1, it assumes a minimum level of English language mastery in the child. Now, when somebody is fatherless or motherless, when somebody is disabled, doesn't have social belonging, that person is not likely to have all those attributes. The person, maybe if he's living in the north, he will understand Hausa. If he's in Yoruba land, you understand. Because there is no person adding to that person, no parent figure. So that leads us to number 1 suggestion: dual instructions, dual language instructions. Now, how did we come about dual language instructions? In US, they have a high population of Hispanics, okay, people that speak Spanish. And the US government is not ready to support Spanish education forever. So in the early years of the student, they teach them in both language, a little Spanish, a little English, a little Spanish, a little English, all right? And so we brought that to Nigeria, a little our local language, a little English, all right? Move on. Okay, so this makes them understand. Go on. Okay, please go back and show a video. I'll show you a short video clip of a, I won't call it a school. Or in fact, there are 2 of them. One, the children are speaking Yoruba language. Another one, they're speaking Hausa language. And you'll see what we were able to do. I said it has to be sustainable. So you will see, okay, can we have volume? Can we start with the volume, please?
Can
Okay, please, can we start from the beginning,
Hello
please?
again, lovely pupils. This is the Basic Science and Technology class for Primary 1.
Salamu alaikum ɗalibaina, ina mai farin cikin sake haɗuwa da ku a wata darasi kamar
Can we have some volume, please?
muke kawo muku darussa ne.
This guy is speaking Hausa.
Mi jaɓɓa kewon oron ɗekkitoɓe jangirde e ɗowdi. Hande en ɗekkitoto torankore de primary 1 ko bo English primary.
So there's a solar panel to power.
Pineapple is so tea amanje. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ máa pín tẹ̀lé mi bí mo ṣe pe àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ náà. Barkanmu da warhaka, barkanmu da sake saduwa a wani sabon darasi a yau a harshen Turanci aji ɗaya. Yanzu za mu lissafta ayyukan da muke a kowace rana. Sunday, S-U-N.
What we're going is this: we're not using internet. It's distributed on memory card. Same memory card, right? Okay, and it can be controlled remotely. We're going to see a few things later on. This is where they can be brought together. 5, 6, 8, 10 of them.
Another one is, guys,
let's go back to
PowerPoint. As compared to any other keyword research tool, I see.
Don't worry about that. Don't play that. Don't worry.
More accurate data, but only few features are free. That is enough for you. Okay, and you can search the keywords over here. And at the end, guys, definitely depend upon Google Ads, keyword planners, as well as Bing Ads.